I recently saw a post on social media about a fellow who had secured a 300K FANG software engineer role, and this was his approach. One, avoid the black hole, and so that is effectively the typical online job application portal in which applicants are screened through ATS, or the applicant tracking system. Um, Instead of this person contacted the hiring manager directly and had the people he's previously worked with give referrals. In other words, this person is proficient in this programming language because of uh, his work with me in the past, and he has done these projects and so on. And then secondly, the interview. He said, don't waste time studying extraneous information. You can actually look online and figure out what are the 30 to 50 questions that the particular FANG company typically asks in its interview, and fit your studying to the set of all possible questions that that company could ask. And so by the time you're at the interview, you've pretty much already seen that the problem or a variant of it, and can solve it without it being without having to use any actual original critical thinking at the time of the interview, because you've already seen this type of problem. And so then he said the next stage is that when you get the offer, you play like you're in demand and do the same thing with another company and mention to that other company that you have this offer and ask them whether they can match it or surpass it. And with that approach, he increased the deal he chose by 40K and ultimately landed a 300K FANG software engineer role. Now, that this works indicates that everything is very, 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 very extremely stupid. So stupid, I could say the word very before saying stupid until the sun becomes a red giant and the oceans are evaporated, as to how stupid this is. So what this means is that the online portal to apply for the software engineer position and the ATS system is broken because some guy who contacts the hiring manager directly and asks for referrals stands out more than the people who go through the applicant tracking system. And then secondly, the types of questions that these companies ask are on the internet, and people just fit their studying to those questions, and by the time the interview comes around, they already totally know how to solve the problem and don't engage any of their real critical thinking because they've pretty much seen it before, and they're just like, okay, cool, I studied the set of questions this company asks. And then thirdly, you're going to play it all cool and pretend to be in demand, given that you've done the same thing with more than one of these companies, to try and get the best possible offer to get the most money. And so the bottom line is, I'd like to change everything. And so the whole idea is then, what do? You have a system in which the online application portal and applicant tracking system is not so stupid that someone who directly contacts the hiring manager stands out more. And then secondly, for the interview, the set of questions that this company typically asks is not just available on the internet, so that people can fit their studying to those types of questions. And by the time they're at the interview, they'll say, oh yeah, I know how to solve this problem. I studied the questions this company asks. That's incredibly stupid. And then thirdly, after all that nonsense, you're competing with other in terms of what is the best possible offer you can get from one of these companies, taking that approach with more than one of the companies. And so ultimately, fix ATS. People who contact the hiring manager directly should not stand out more than the people screened through ATS. Fix the interview system. Keep the questions on a strictly confidential thing, so they're not on the internet, so that people can just study the type of questions that your company asks, and then ace your interview. And then this whole thing where you're competing to provide the best offer to a candidate in demand. These candidates in demand, some of them are people exactly like this fellow, who are just gaming the system and trying to get more money, and then studying the questions that are publicly known to be questions you ask in your interviews. And so everything is stupid, Deus Ex Machina out. Things need to change.